I put $1 million on Floyd Mayweather to beat Conor McGregor, which I think is when I told everyone I know, get every liquid dollar you can, fucking mortgage your house, you can take a life insurance policy out on your children, do whatever you fucking can. This is the freest money in the world.
Me and my buddy, we making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us lacking. Me and my buddy.
All right, welcome back, guys, to the Table One podcast. This is part 2 of our conversation with David Williams, poker legend. In part 1, in case you missed it, it's in the description below. Just check that out. We hit on his whole career arc all the way up to the WPT championship victory. And this episode is kind of life after that. We hit on MasterChef and the crazy shit that happened there. He thinks he was robbed in the finals. Judge for yourself. We hit on future David, what he's going to do, and he tells us a couple of great stories. A legendary Floyd Mayweather bet and just this wild poker ride of a session. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, here we go.
All right, so after this, I mean, you're back focused into poker. Like, are you kind of diving hard back into tournament poker, like with confidence, or like?
So that day, my Bodog contract coincidentally ended that night.
Okay.
So they actually got lucky. I got to wear a Bodog. And I'd already had a PokerStars deal lined up, which was good for PokerStars in a way because they got a guy who was hot, but they didn't get to have me wear their badge. So my contract ended, my PokerStars deal started the next day. And PokerStars was like, you're playing everything. So they had me playing every EPT. I was flying out, playing all their stuff. So yeah, I was back going to tournaments, but my daughter was born a year later.
That's what I was going to get at, yeah.
And I just really, I took her with me to a lot. Like I remember me and my now ex-wife and my baby went to Monte Carlo for an EPT, right? Pain in the ass flying to Europe. You have a fucking 4-month-old or whatever. And it was just like after, I was like, I can't keep doing this. So like my ex-wife would stay home with my daughter and I fly to EPTs and tournaments. But eventually I was like, this is just too much. And then we got a divorce and I got custody of my daughter. So I was a single dad and I was like, well, I'm not gonna leave now because I've got a 4-year-old by myself and I'm not gonna leave her with someone else. I don't wanna jeopardize my custody because then she can say, well, he's fucking gone. Why did he get custody? But I also just wanted that time with my daughter. So over the course of, 2011, my daughter was born. My custody started in about 2014. And that was when I really kind of stopped playing tournaments heavily because I was like, well, poker will be there when she's older. I'm going to just focus on being a dad. I'll play the World Series because it's here in my backyard and it's the World Series. I'll play stuff locally if it's interesting to me and I can get a sitter. But if I can't get a sitter, it's no big deal. I'll skip it. And then as far as traveling, if it works like where she's with mom and I can travel, I'll go. But if I'm going to miss a day with my daughter, I'm not going to go. So then I just kind of, that was really when poker tournaments kind of stopped being what I do a lot of. And I was lucky, I saved a lot, so I didn't have to play tournaments. I didn't play a lot of cash games. I was able to just kind of sit back. I had some good investments and just kind of, and then I started working with exclusive Noah Boken, who's we've been my best friend since we were young. He does a lot of sports betting syndicate stuff. So I started working with him, helping him with a lot of logistics, a lot of programming and spreadsheeting and accounting and, being a part of his business. And luckily he's one of the most successful in the world and I got a big piece of that. So
that's great.
Life is good. I don't really have to play poker anymore.
Were you still splitting the car with your college girlfriend at this time? Or?
No.
Okay.
I bought the Bentley right after.
Well, I know, but
she got dumped. The order was I dumped her, moved to Vegas, bought a Bentley.
You have half of a $12,000 car. You can't just give her the car.
I did 2 things though. Rewind a quick. 2005. Hey babe, this ain't gonna work. I'm going to Vegas. I'm young and rich now. There's hotter girls out there.
Upgrade time.
Yeah, it wasn't really, it wasn't like that, but it was kind of at the same time though, we're going different paths. I want to sow my royal oats, as they say, I want to go out there and see the world. But I realized the bad beat she had just taken because she was there with me for all these years, and now her boyfriend wins millions of dollars and was like, so I gave her a severance package. I bought her a car. It was like $40K or whatever. I bought her a car, cut her a check, paid for her. She wanted to go to college. I paid for her community college. I paid for a couple years of community college.
It's really nice, by the way. But
no, I set her
wanted to be funnier.
No, I set her up.
It was just like the GLS package on the Eclipse.
No, actually,
that's you now.
I gave her. It was like a 40K. It was what kind of car was it? It was a nice little 40K mid-size sedan. wrote her a check for like $100K or something like that, and then also was like paid for a community college for 2 years because I still loved her and cared about her. We've been together for 4 years at the time. It wasn't like she did anything. It wasn't like, oh, I'm tired of you. It was just like, look, man, this isn't working. I'm traveling for all these tournaments all the time. Your family's here. I want to move. You probably don't. Yeah. I'm also 25. I don't want to I want to see what's out there. Yeah. And she was a couple years, she was 22 or something. Like we'd been together since she was 18 and I was like 20. So I'm like, you need to see what's out there. But I felt bad. I'm not gonna be like, you're gonna struggle now because you've been doing nothing but being my girlfriend and now I'm out, go find a job. So I helped her get started, on her way and moved to Vegas and bought a Bentley.
Do you, I wouldn't say stalk, but you go back and check up on her every once in a while?
I don't really check up on her, but I mean, she eventually had kids and got married or whatever. Good. So, her life, she ended up okay,
Not like David Williams okay, but
She ended up in a place where I think hopefully is still working out and she's happy. Good. I mean, I don't keep up with her, I don't know, but.
Yeah, well.
That's awesome.
That's past David Williams' problem.
I've been broken up with a lot. I've never got a severance package before.
I don't think I would normally, but it just felt right given. Well, also, someone told me Texas has some common law things, and like if she was sharp, she could have been like, well, we've been living with this guy for 4 years with no job.
Oh shit, that's right. You guys are technically married or something?
Yeah, you've been living with me for 4 years, no job, and just dipped out of here. Like someone was like, she might have a case to kind of come after you and get some money. So I was like, you know what?
You did the preemptive alimony.
I was like,
you're like, here you go.
I'm gonna take care of you on my way out. Leave me alone. Thanks, bye.
Yeah. Oh, that's sharp too. All right. Interesting. Don't check into that. There's a statute of limitations.
It's way too long.
At least 10 years, 20 years, whatever.
All right, real quick. Do you have crypto just sitting in a crypto wallet doing nothing? Then you've probably never heard of Gauntlet. Gauntlet.xyz is a billion-dollar research company that manages risk for huge internet platforms like Uniswap, Arbitrum, Jupiter, and a ton of other ones. And how can they help you? They actually curate these things called crypto vaults. And what's a crypto vault? Well, you just put your crypto in, you get an interest rate. The interest rate depends on the supply and demand of that particular token that you put into there. It's kind of complicated, but their algorithms make it like 1,000 poker solvers are working on your side. And you get a return on crypto that was just sitting in your wallet anyway. Here, let me show you how it works. I've got 800 USDC here. I'm gonna put it into this USDC vault. The current interest APY is a little over 9%. So I'm gonna get that for a little bit and I can take it out whenever I want. Now, as you can see, they have a bunch of different vaults, a bunch of different tokens. Do your own research on all of this, which one appeals to you, but definitely don't let your crypto just sit in your wallet doing nothing. It could be here earning for you. So if you've got USDC or USDT, which if you're a poker player, you probably do, you're gonna wanna have it sitting in one of these vaults earning something for you. So head on over to gauntlet.xyz/T1 and it'll take you right to the vault page. You'll be able to check out which one looks good to you. All right, back to the show.
20 almost.
All right, well, now we're cooking.
Speaking of cooking, sorry.
There you go, that's
I
where
took
I was
it away from you, shit. Sorry, Art. I've been talking the whole time and
No, that's exactly where I was going. Go ahead, buddy.
No, you go.
All right, at some point in the most recent past, you went from cooking at the poker table to cooking in the actual kitchen because we're speaking to a runner-up finisher on MasterChef.
That's right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Season 7. Season 7. But like, what the fuck, man? How do you go from gambling to scrambling?
You don't.
That's wild because so like it actually the connection is due to gambling. So I would say this a year before the show, the only thing I'd ever cooked was scrambled eggs.
There we go.
I'm not even kidding.
That's
all I can make was scrambled eggs. But I was a single dad. I had to start making some food here and there, so I would figure out how to. My 4-year-old at the time, her favorite thing was salmon, broccoli, and brown rice. So obviously making rice is easy. Broccoli, you just steam it, grill it, whatever. Doesn't really take any skills. Salmon also, she doesn't really like sauce. You just throw that bad boy on a pan and flip it. So I was cooking for her a little bit, nothing serious, but I always would like to go to sleep watching random YouTube videos. And usually it would be cooking videos. Now I love to eat and I loved restaurants, but I didn't cook and didn't care about cooking. But cooking videos, something about them, particularly at the time, and that's a coincidence, not why I went on his show, Gordon Ramsay videos were just something about him. He's so smooth and the accent and fast, they just mesmerize you watching this guy cook. And I would watch these videos and fall asleep, never thought about cooking. And then one day I was just like, craving this pasta dish with like a ragu. I wanted like some pappardelle with ragu. And I remember I was like watching a YouTube video. It's like, that looks kind of easy. And I was like, I wonder if I can make that. So read like 20 different recipes because I'm very just like crazy and I can't even describe it. But when I want to make something, I like look at every different recipe, noting all the differences. Okay, why are they doing that? So I wrote a list of like what I would need to make the perfect ragu, right? And like, where can I get this? And I start calling all these butcher shops because I need like the perfect mix of boar and pork and like beef, like the curd mix. And I get everything ready. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make this dish. And I remember I finally made it. It took me hours, you know. And I invited over Eric Fro, like another one of my really close friends from Magic who I work with Noah in sports still, talk to him every day, talked to him this morning. I invited Efro and his wife over, Athena. And I was like, hey, I made this pasta with this ragu. I want you guys to taste it, check it out. He's like, you cooked? I'm like, yeah, come on over.
They're like, okay, we can get pizza afterwards.
Sure, all right, we'll come over. I remember they came over and I was so excited. They loved it. And something clicked because like, if you think about it, right, when we play poker, we both play, for us to do well, someone has to do bad, right? Like when you win a pot, somebody lost that pot. Right. And I'm a game player my whole life, so when I win, someone has to lose. But because that's my whole life, I always get my pleasure from someone else's failure. And that kind of, when you start to think about it that way, kind of can fuck with you a little bit. I'm like, man, that sucks. And I realized with this cooking, everybody wins. Like, sure, I put in the work, but I enjoyed it. But I made two people happy with something I did. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And I liked it. So I started making more dishes. Like weekly, I would just look up a recipe and start like, find a YouTube video, look at the process. I'm like, okay, YouTube was my class. I was like, okay, what else I want to make? Look up a YouTube video, watch some videos, boom, make it. Invite friends over. They love it. And I'm like, this is so cool. I'm actually doing something to make people happy that like feels like a game to me. I'm following a recipe, getting it to work, and it works. So I just started cooking. I started posting some photos on like social media, but wasn't to like brag, more just 'cause I thought it was neat and more for record keeping. And I get a phone call from this producer, she's like, I get a message on Instagram actually, hey, it's Gina, and she produced this show I was on that I wish somebody could find the footage called The King of Vegas. It was on Spike TV, which was a network that doesn't even exist anymore. I was on it, Eric Lindgren, Mike Mattisau, Evelyn Ng.
Sounds very familiar.
It was the goofiest show ever. And I was the runner-up on this fucking show. Actually, I wasn't the runner-up. I was basically the runner-up before the heads-up match for $1 million cash, which is disgusting. This kid from Michigan who wasn't a poker player, it was a gambling show, not a poker show, but to win the $1 million, the final two people would play heads-up poker, no splits allowed for $1 million. The final episode was me, this 90-year-old professional dice player who was horrible at everything, nice guy, and then the Michigan State porn star is what his t-shirt said. It was this kid who went to college at Michigan State who was also just cast by the casting department. The three of us doing casino games. Low score is eliminated. The next two will play heads up for $1 million, no split. $1 million check. I lose in roulette because I give red and the zeros and it lands on black, which always pick black because I was like, always bet on black. So they got to go first and they bet on black. So I had to get red, but I set it up where I could get the zeros. Comes black, I lose, they play heads up for $1 million. Old man gets an ace, says to the kid, I got an ace, I don't believe you, all in for like all the chips early. It was like super deep. And the kid's like, well, I have 2 aces, call. Over, wins $1 million. Like I would never lose to these guys because I could just chip them away.
Somebody out there in the YouTube comments, find this video because I want to see what happens.
No, it was a show with like 20 episodes.
Well, yeah, I know I watched it. I all this is vaguely familiar, especially the heads up poker because I was just like.
Well, the thing was, each show was various casino games, but the bottom two people would then play heads up poker, loser off the show, which is sick for me, Evelyn, Eric Lindgren, and Mattisau because even if we suck. We probably play poker against an amateur who's never played poker before because the other people had never played poker. Yeah. So like I got to the bottom. One time they did like the bottom 4 play a sit and go and then I just won. But whenever I was in the bottom, I just beat someone at poker and I'm back on the show. And like 2 poker players would get there and then one's off. And then occasionally like I think E-Dog and Mattisau like lost to like a random, which was like how? Because just don't get all in. Like the blinds didn't even go up very much. But anyways, it was the sickest show for us. And I didn't win the $1 million. But anyways, the producer from that show, and you can't find it. It drives me insane. I wish it was somewhere. I want a video.
Our followers will find it.
Somebody find it because it's
King of Vegas.
It's so cringy, but it's insane. Like and Mattisau going nuts and like. Anyways, the producer on that show calls me, and that was shot in like 05, 06. The producer from that show hits me up in 2016, 2015. Hey, I'm working on a cooking show. You've been posting food. You should audition. I'm like, what cooking show? She's like, MasterChef. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. She goes, it's a Gordon Ramsay show. I don't know what it is. She's like, I'm like, I watch his YouTube videos. She's like, no, it's cool. It's on Fox. It's watched by 8 million viewers. It's one of the best in its demographic, prime time. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm just fucking around here. I'm like, I'm
Just
not.
spam.
Because all I knew about Gordon Ramsay was like the shows with professionals where he's in kitchens and he's yelling at them. I was like, I'm not that good. She's like, no, it's the best home cook in America. I'm like, that ain't me. She's like, just think about it, right? We're doing auditions in Vegas in like 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, I'll think about it. Go to my couch, load it up, on TiVo or find it on whatever, find it. And my daughter, who was 4 at the time or 5, comes in and she's like, oh, I watched MasterChef Junior with mommy because they have a kids version. And I was like, oh, she's like, why are you watching it? And I was like, well, this lady wants me to do it. She's like, you're going to be on it? And I was like, yeah.
You can't say no now.
I was like, oh, let's watch it. And it was super intense. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. She's like, why not? And I was like, I don't think I'm good enough. She's like, you're the best cook, Daddy. I bet you would win. And I'm like, oh, God. She's like, you got to try. And I'm like, I do have to try, baby. We should try everything. I'm like, oh, God. I try to instill in her, like, always try your best. She's like, you should just go. Yeah, try your best. I bet you win. And I'm like, oh, God, okay. And then, like, next day, she's like, my daddy's going to be on MasterChef to, like, another kid's mom or whatever. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So I write the lady back, or she writes me back. She's like, hey, did you check it out? I'm like, yeah, it's a lot. I don't know if it's for me, but I'll audition. So she's like, okay, we're going to be in Vegas. It's like a Saturday morning. Be at the Alexis Park Resort. Come to the conference room at, 8 a.m. next Saturday. And then I look, and I'm like, shit. 2 of my friends were having a bachelor party the night before. And like, I knew everybody like at the clubs and the strip clubs and the restaurants, and I was gonna set them all up and take them out. I was like, oh God, I can't get out of this, because like I'm supposed to take the boys to the Rhino at like 2 in the morning, and like I know everybody, I can get them in the back door, I can't just send them. But I gotta be at 8 in the morning and cook. So I made it work. I took them to the Rhino. I ended up dipping out early, not drinking, got home, woke up, made this spicy puttanesca sauce with spaghetti with like some capers and anchovies. Put it in a thermos, piping hot, so it would hopefully stay well. Got my best white plates, shiny knives, napkins, put them in a backpack, drove up there. Now, I'm sure if you've maybe seen back in the day with American Idol where it's all these people waiting to get their number called. They have like a number on a little, like a runner on their chest, and like number 75. So it's like the same shit, right? It's all these people waiting. And I was fast-tracked it because I told the woman I like was be busy with my daughter. She's like, we'll get you right up. You come in, you go check in, and we'll call you in. We'll get you in the early group so you can get out. And I go in this room, and it's probably 20, 25 people in a big room, and there's tables in like a U shape. And they line us up around the U shape. And they're like, okay, everybody, pull your dish out and get it ready. And I remember how people looked at the poker table when I first started playing, and you're like, these people are not bright. I looked around, I'm like, they're not, like Trump, they're not sending their best. I looked around and like, yeah, man. And like some of these people pull out like the hotel pan or like foil on a paper plate. And I pull out like a white plate that's like a nice plate, and I got like shiny silverware. I fold my napkin right. I take my pasta, I take the fork and I twirl it like a restaurant, like in the pile. I have the basil, fresh basil I pull out and shred around it. Like I plate this motherfucker up like a restaurant, and I got cutlery and a napkin.
You've been to Prime,
and I'm looking around, and everybody is just in Tupperware with like a plastic knife, or somebody even bringing forks, I'm just like, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Did I overdo it? Like, am I an idiot here? Are they gonna go, what the fuck does this guy think this is? So then the judges walk in, and it was like some producer judges, and it's like 3 of them with clipboards, and they just go to each, they look, start like whispering, and it's very intimidating. Scribbling shit, they'll take a bite of your food, won't give you anything in their face. Look, they'll chew, look at each other, start writing, go to the next guy, do the same thing. And I'm thinking, fuck, that's brutal. They get to me, and they're like, oh, I guess they see the setup, like the knife and the fucking fork and the napkin, and they're like, and the twirl. I do this pasta twirl, and they kind of smirk and look at each other. You can tell they're like impressed, right? And they take a bite, and I'm trying to read them. They talk, they scribble, and they keep going. I'm like, okay. And they're like, all right, guys, go ahead and wait in the next room. We'll let you know who moves on. 10 minutes later, they come in, they're like, okay, numbers blah, 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 and me. I'm like, oh, sweet, right? Me and like 5 make it. You made the next round, come on in. And it's like me and 4 ladies. And they're like, hi, this is a more personal, we want to talk to you, see what you know about food. They go, for this section, we're going to show you a slide on a projector. We want you to raise your hand and tell us what it is or what it's used for. It's like an ingredient or a tool, something in the kitchen, right?
Pop quiz.
Like a mandolin, or what is this item of food? And from watching all these damn YouTube videos, I was just like, I knew everything. Like, these women never got to answer, you know? And I just was like, oh, I know what that's for. I know what that is. And they were like, the women were kind of annoyed because I was just like crushing them. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to converse. Like, okay, you, sir, can you please, ladies, thank you, we've seen enough. And now they're like, okay, we need you to come back tomorrow for an interview. Come back the next day for, like, I sit in front of a camera with like a producer. And they're like, okay, we'll be in touch. And then they hit me up like a few months later and they're like, hey, you made it to the next round. Bring a suitcase to LA, enough for 6 weeks, because if you make the show, you aren't coming home. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
With a daughter at home too? That's
and I was
intense.
like, okay, this is crazy, you know? And I'm like, well, I'll probably get booted anyways, because like I'm not that good. And I remember I have a lot of friends, because I eat out a lot. I know all the chefs at all the restaurants. So I went to 4 of my friends at various restaurants. I went to my friend who, actually, Lotus of Siam, which is my favorite restaurant. I'm very good close with the friends with the family. I messaged Penny, the owner, or she's the owner's daughter at the time, but now she runs it. I was like, hey, Penny, I'm on this show. I need some cooking help. Can I come in your kitchen and learn some Thai shit? She was like, nah. She's like, we can't have you in the kitchen, sorry. And I was like, fuck. I go into Steve Benjamin, who was the head chef at Joe Robuchon. And Steve's like, come on in, I'll show you some things. You know, I'll give you a kind of like, I'll spend an afternoon and just kind of whip you into shape. And then I had a couple other friends at different restaurants. Chef Nicole at what was Carnivino and B&B Batali's restaurant. She brought me in, let me spend one evening in there staging in their kitchen, showed me, I'd never been in a kitchen before. And they're like, go over here, make this, do this. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But I got like a little crash course in a sense. Like I got to spend a day in 4 different kitchens, just seeing what they do and getting whipped into shape. And then I just studied like crazy, watching every video I could watch on how to make everything, just trying to make sure I knew how to do everything, because they said you need to know how to do everything. Or like they sent you like a list of things, know how to do, bake a cake, debone a chicken, fillet a fish, like all this shit, bake a pie, make a pie crust.
What does the winner of MasterChef even get?
$250,000,
Okay.
a book deal, and then the endless opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
Which, if you look at every winner of that show, I don't think really any have done anything.
Oh, no.
It's unfortunate. You know, a few have tried to open restaurants. Some have failed. Some have been okay. Don't know if they're very successful, but no fault to them. I think the show doesn't really. I think the show pushes Gordon, and they move on to the next season.
Right.
I don't think they help the winners. But anyways, I'm getting too far
I was
ahead.
just curious.
So I went out there. My ex-wife was cool. She was like, "I'll watch Lily for as long as you're out there." And we get there. They're like, "Okay, phones." They're like, "You're going to be sequestered.
What?
No contact. You get a phone call every Sunday for 10 minutes with your family."
What?
Little known secret though, your boy is a little sharp. I had an iPad my iPad has cell service. Had that in my suitcase in a secret compartment they didn't find. We get to the room. Now we had roommates for the audition
You
period.
had roommates?
When they started you, because there was 80 of us.
Yeah, okay.
Before they cut, for the first weekend, they cut
Yeah.
you to 40. And I remember he would go to bed and I would go to the bathroom with my iPad and call my daughter, like, hey baby, hi, and then I would put it back. And I made it through and kept making it through each section, and finally I'm on the show, and then the show starts, and I remember, I think the reason I did so well is I played it like a game. I realized cooking is key, but strategy is more important. And I think from watching prior seasons to catch up, and even watching after, no one approaches that show like a game. They all just cook, because they're not game players like us. We play a game for a living, and we think like games. They're not strategists at all. And like, I realized a few things. A, you don't need to win every day. Just don't be last, right?
Right.
So don't fuck up and don't be the worst. So don't take that risk that you don't need to take to try to win the competition, because like, that's not as important as not losing. How do people get kicked off? Raw meat. Okay.
MasterChef ICM here, guys.
Yeah.
Just stay in the tournament.
I mean, just like any other tournament, you can't win it the first day, but you can sure lose it on the
you
first
can
day.
cook some raw fucking chicken and you're out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm not cooking poultry, but you know what? If I cook beef and it's a little raw, I like my beef medium rare. That's great. I'm not gonna. So things like that, make something safe and stay on. Or if you get to sabotage someone, sabotage the best player, whereas these fucking guys would sabotage the worst player. Even the guy that ended up winning, he truly believed I was the worst, and I think I was too, of like the 6 of us left. So when he got an advantage and got to punish someone, he obviously should have punished his toughest competition.
Instead.
Second and third, the best 2 people who actually might have been better than him, he should have given them the huge disadvantage and hope they get knocked off, because like, you want to fucking win. And I remember he gave me the disadvantage. He's like, I want you out of here. And I was like, but you said I'm the worst. He's like, you are. And I was like, well, then why would you punish me? He's like, because I want to beat the best. You need to get out of here. You don't deserve to be here. I was like, are you fucking dumb? And they like, producers would come over and like restrain me, because I was like, are you fucking stupid? And they're like, calm down. I was like, you think I'm the worst, but you're giving me the disadvantage? Are you fucking dumb? And he was like, whoa, I want to beat the best and be the best. I was like, you're fucking dumb. And I'm like, you should sabotage them. Like, if they're your true competition, like, what is wrong with you? So I treated it like a game, and I was also improving. Like, I was learning as I go. I would see things people would do, and I just also got better. I mean, I did win like 7 challenges. They were team challenges. I never lost a team challenge. And the thing is, my creativity, I wasn't able to, and I still can't really come up, like if you give me a mystery box, I'm just kind of frozen, like, oh, I don't know. But if you tell me some techniques and like, cook this steak properly or cut this right, like my knife skills were good, and even to this day, I can cook some fucking meat and it ain't gonna be overcooked. I can cook all kinds of meat. I can cook it right. But my technique is great. When Gordon would do things and say, replicate this, I would win those challenges all fucking day. Like, I can watch what he did and do it. But if it's like, here's a box of some shit and make up something.
Hold on, give me a minute with YouTube.
I don't know, man. Like, I gotta Google. Like, what? I have no idea. So I struggled there and I crushed in technique. And I made it to the finals. And then I will say this, I think I kind of got screwed. And I don't say it from a place of like bitterness, because I think the right guy still won, and I'll explain. In the finals, I think I was the best, and I think my dishes were the best. Over the course of the season, the guy that won should have won. Sean, he's a Vegas guy, he's a DJ here. I think he moved to Florida. That guy could cook his ass off. That guy crushed all the individual challenges. He was creative. He knew how to cook. He had been cooking for years, and he was fucking good. But in the finals, because we got to work on our finale dish, think about it, research, I came up with the best dishes. I think my dishes were better and my execution was better, but besides one small point, which we'll come back to, I think that, and a lot of people think I got robbed and should have won the finals, but I understand why. It's a subjective show. Sure. You pick who wins. I think he won for the whole body of work. And the reason I think I got screwed, and something that I've never really said before, and I don't know if it should be out there, but whatever, I'm not trying to go back on the show. I'm not trying to go on All-Star, so I don't care. The night before the finals, they brought us in individually to meet with producers of the show. But not producers of the show that we've been working with. So there's a parent company that does a lot of reality TV called Endemol Shine or whatever. They're like this company, never heard of them, but if you watch all the reality shows at the very end, it'll say like Endemol Shine. It's like this conglomerate that like above the networks, these are the reality kings. So I sat with like 3 executives and they're like, so, you've had a good season, we've been watching. It's very intimidating too. You're sitting in this room and you're like facing these 3 executives who are all like TV magnates, and they're just like,
Do you want to buy a timeshare?
no, it felt, yeah. And they're like, so how do you feel? And I'm like, good. Where do you want to go with this? Like, if you were to win, where do you see yourself? And now I realize what's going on.
Yeah.
They're sizing up their man.
They want to promote.
Who's going to be our guy if you win this?
That's
and
right.
I'm usually very good at that shit. And I was actually good on the show. There was a lot of moments where I showed emotion. I'm screaming. I'm throwing shit. And people are like, oh, fuck this guy. I mean, I still get people, I'll like randomly get a message on like my Facebook profile. And it's like, you were such a baby on that show. I hope you kill yourself. Like, people say these things. What they don't realize is it's not like it's fake. But I also realize it's TV and there's value in being a character and a personality.
Right. Of course.
So like, let's say I'm at home, right? If I fuck up something at home, you get mad and you want to break something, but why would I break my own shit and have to rebuy it? Yeah. But if I'm on a set and I just throw a champagne bottle on the floor, it's like I kind of let go. Like, you maybe want to do that at home, but you realize, well, if I do that, I got to clean it up and I might break some. I'm not going to do that. You restrain yourself. I let go of that restraint because I know there's cameras on. So people are like, so you're saying it's fake? I'm like, it's not fake, but I also didn't hold
Uncensored.
back. Yeah, I just
exaggerated.
let it go because it's good TV. Because if they're going to eliminate somebody, you have the guy who's boring, and you have the guy that next week he might fucking cut somebody. Like, let's keep that fucking guy. So I realized that. So I played the game, and I also knew what to say in the interviews. Like, I've trained in that kind of shit. But when I'm in this meeting, I didn't realize the game was still being played. And what I should have been was, oh man, if I win this show, I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm going to go on a culinary tour, and it's going to be great. Yeah. And they were, because I knew that's what was going on, but I didn't realize at the time. And they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, go back to playing poker.
I'm going to cook for my daughter and play poker.
And they were like, you don't want to open a restaurant? I was like, no. They're like, why did you come on the show? I was like, to prove that I could win at everything. It's a game, and I wanted to show that I could win this game. It's another game for me. And they're like, interesting. You want to poker or anything?
Scribble.
Give you like one more chance to like
Yeah, and I was like,
say one more thing.
Yeah, I want a show, a cooking show. They're like, a cooking show. I was like, no, I want a talk show like Ellen or Oprah. I'm like, that would be great. I just interview people. How cool would that be? And they're like cooking. I was like, no, I'm not gonna be like Rachel Ray. Here's how to make my enchiladas. I'm like, no, hell no, fuck that. And they were like, I don't even know what got into me. But at that moment, I blew the finals in that interview.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no shit. No, I'm not saying the whole show is rigged, but that's probably a tiebreaker, right? Like, if a guy goes back there and says what they want to hear, but he fucking sucks, he probably doesn't win. But if it's close, who's the better face of our company? But when I said all this, I'm going to go back to playing poker. Hell no, I'm not cooking. Because one of the things the winners do on that show is they have a MasterChef cruise where you go on and like people go. Actually, Phil and Lonnie Huey went on the MasterChef cruise and they were like, are you going to be there the next year? I was like, mm-mm. And they were like, what? And I was like, why would I go on that shit? And Sean, the winner, went and he told me it was like kind of a shitty experience. Like I'm like working all day and I'm like doing demos with like a headset on. Hey guys, here's how to grill this pork chop, you know? And it's like, book signings. I was like, yeah, I'm glad I wouldn't have done that. I would have told them no if I won. I'm not doing all that. How much you paying me?
So, take the $250, bank it, and just be like, all right, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm
so I
still
think
out,
they
guys.
realized that, and they got the right guy in that sense too, because Sean was their guy. Like, there was another time he went to some like food and wine festival in like some weird city in the Midwest, and was like, I saw on his Facebook, I'm going to the food and wine festival in wherever, Wisconsin, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't be doing that shit. Like MasterChef, hey, we need you to go to this food and wine festival. I'm like, no. So he was the right guy for that, in addition to being the better cook. But I think I lost it there. And then the spookiest thing where I think that how they kind of ensured it, and it's subjective anyways. So like you could take a bite, it sucks. You can still say, this is great, and vote for that guy. Like there's no audit on the bite, on the taste. It's all subjective. Yeah. But my main course was a sous vide guinea hen wrapped in a Savoy cabbage with a morel cream sauce. It's like a very French dish, and a yellow wine morel cream sauce that Chef Steve Benjamin kind of has some things he had taught me I thought about and put in my dish as an homage to him and Joe Robuchon. And you make it with sous vide so that it comes out pretty, and you have this roulade, right? You take the guinea hen and you roll it up with foie gras in the middle. You roll it up with the cabbage, and it's like a Savoy cabbage which has all the crisscross patterns on it. And then you slice medallions and you put them on the plate with the sauce.
All right, really quickly here, guys. You know that we support Phenom Poker here on Table 1, but the number one question that we get about Phenom Poker, how the hell do I deposit money? We got tired of hearing that question, so we wrote up the deposit guide for old guys for Phenom Poker. That's right, if you got money sitting in your bank account and you want to get it onto Phenom, this guide will show you how to do that. If you've got money just in a USDT Ethereum wallet, this guide will get you from there to Phenom. It's really simple. Just go to table1.vegas/Phenom. It's in the description below. Check it out. All right, back to the show.
So you plate the medallions, and you have this amazing morel yellow cream sauce with this yellow wine sauce. It's beautiful French sauce, and you plate it, and you cook it in the sous vide, and it's perfect, right? You've cooked sous vide before either?
Yeah.
It never fails.
Yeah, it's
right?
easy.
Like
Can't
you literally set your temperature, you set your timer, and you know what you're going to get. I've never had it not be as expected. And even for this dish, we practiced the night before, and a couple times, like we had a few days, we're in the test kitchen to kind of work on our dish and figure out what we're going to do. 70 degrees Celsius, 30 minutes. Every time, pull it out, slice it, beautiful. Pull it out, slice it, beautiful. We get on set, 70 degrees Celsius, wrap my fucking can up. Finale, pull it out, I slice. It's raw. This is very strange. The timer's right. The temperature says 70 degrees Celsius. Why is this not cooked? I panic. don't pull the other ones out, try to make it work, end up like not serving that, but now I don't have enough for all the judges. I like, Christina Tozzi's has 2 medallions. Gordon has one that's a little medium rare, but I'm like, you know, he's adventurous. Maybe he'll eat a medium rare piece of poultry, whatever. And they were not happy about it, and that dinged me. And I remember when that happened, I was like, I guess it's over. And Gordon's like, well, you know, it's anyone's game still because your appetizer was incredible. You still had some good pieces here. Daniel Boulud thought my sauce was the best sauce. He's like, you could be a saucier in my kitchen anytime you want. You call me. Wolfgang Puck. His dish was all cooked. He was like, this dish is the best dish. So I'm like, okay, I got some positives here, but I'm not out of it. And my dessert was this crazy dessert. It was cherries 7 ways. And I did all these different molecular things, crazy dessert that I actually had never been able to pull off every component in practicing in the 30 minutes allotted. I would always have to leave something off because I just couldn't get it done. Like there was just too much to do. And I remember in that finale, I fucking just started zooming. I was in a zone. And I got the fucking plate. I got every component on it. I got all 7 ways. It was beautiful. And we serve our desserts. And the fucking guy that won made a chocolate strawberry tart, like the most basic fucking thing ever. And then the girl in the finale, it was 3 ways. She made a cornbread Madeleine because she was Southern. And I remember they were like, this is so dry. like it was, yeah, whatever. She's a good cook, but her fucking dessert was a monster. And the other guys was basic as hell. So I remember when I served it, Christina Tozzi was like, wow, this looks like something out of a fine dining restaurant. This is incredible. And they tasted it. And I remember the first bite, you could see she loved it, but they all have earpieces in. And all of a sudden, I think someone did the math in a way, like, okay, wait, if he crushes this dish,
He has to
and
win.
he crushed the appetizer round, and he doesn't win, it's kind of weird. So she's like, this is good, but it, you know, I don't know, the jury's still out. I don't know. And then Gordon was like, yeah, this is a great dish, looks beautiful. Just, we don't know if Sean can hang or not. We have to see. And then Wolfgang and Daniel, who aren't normal judges or guest judges, they were just like, this is phenomenal. We love it. So now Sean's tart comes up, and all of a sudden, I'm still thinking I can win. Christina Tozzi's like, this is the best chocolate tart I've ever tasted. And I'm just like, oh God, I see what's going on. I see what's happening now. And then Gordon Ramsay's like, magnificent. Look at this tart is the best dessert of my life. And I'm just like, okay, I see what's happening. You can kind of see it on my face. So even when like at the end, they're like, we're going to reveal who wins. And they have a standing when I already knew. I'm like, that was a total like setup for him to win. And I didn't really think about that interview. So I remember I leave and I'm bitter that I lost. And then I'm thinking about that interview. Well, my boy actually on the show, Eric, who got like 8th or 7th, the fireman on the show, he called me. He's like, bro, I'm trying to figure out why your hen was raw, man. He goes, you set it for 30 degrees, we could see, and you, or 70 degrees, and you set it for 30 minutes. He goes, your machine was not right. Like, it may have said 70, but your water must not have been 70. And I remember when I got home, I even fucking set up my sous vide at home and did it again, and it was right. I was like, what is going on? He's like, your machine wasn't right. He's like, did you take like a thermometer out of the drawer and test the water? I'm like, why would I need to do that? It's supposed to be fucking
Sous vide
right.
says it, so why? Yeah.
So then I'm like thinking at night, and I remember that interview, and it all hit me. I'm like, they fucking might have sabotaged me. They might have.
And you still almost won.
They might have. I don't know. I can't say for certain.
Wow.
But why the fuck why did my cook not come out? It's very easy to put that motherfucker 10 degrees off and just oops.
The least amount of cooking involved is pushing
like
a button.
Wow.
So it's like
MasterChef conspiracy.
I don't know.
No, I'm in on it.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, they could have just said Sean's fucking tart was incredible, and you know. But the thing is, if my dish comes out right, my main dish, and everybody loves that too, then it's like the guy fucking swept. You know, how do we do it? But who knows? I mean, maybe it's just, you know, maybe the machine was just faulty by accident too. Shit happens. It could have just been I wasn't supposed to win. And like I say, I'm not even bitter because I would have loved the 250. I would have loved to not be a runner-up again because I'm runner-up in so much shit. But I'm happy that he won. I would have done none of that extra shit. Yeah. And it made his, like, you know, 250 to me versus 250 to him. I'm not even bragging. It's just the way. Like being a gambler, we win and lose.
Money means less to us. I'll
You
just put
get
it that way.
250. You're not fucking like calling your mom and crying. You're like, hey, that's great, but we keep it pushing. Whereas like for where he was and what he was, his struggle, that helped him a lot. And I'm happy for him. And I would have been happy for the other woman who was a teacher in Kentucky. And I think she said made like $30,000 a year. So her winning 250 also would have been like fucking life-changing for her. So I am truly happy that he won and would have been happy for her. Obviously I wanted to win, but I'm not bitter about it.
And I'm not saying trying to diminish you getting to as far as you did, but like you also have an advantage getting to contact your chefs and like getting the crash courses and like, I mean, sneaking in iPads and
Absolutely. I mean, that helps. Like they're probably going nuts in their head, just bored as fuck in that room with no phone, no nothing, and a Marriott watching Marriott TV with like 9 channels.
with a roommate, for God's sake.
Well, we got the roommates were gone after you made the top 20. We got our own.
Okay,
rooms.
well, that's still tough.
We had a roommate for like a week, and I was there for like 6 weeks.
Well, that sounds super rewarding. 6 weeks of a passion.
I wouldn't do it again, and I do tell people. I get people all the time who message me like, "Hey, I'm gonna go audition. Any tips?" I'm like, "Don't do it." And I'm like, "Look, the reason unless you are at a place. So here's the thing: we're poker players, right? If we take 6 weeks off, the game is still there. We don't get fired. We don't lose our job. And a lot of those people on that show lost their jobs or had to give up their job to be gone that long. Right. And they did it under the pretense of, I'm gonna go and be a star, and not realizing, but I remember one time we were all sitting in a room and they were all so excited, like, we're in the top 10, when we go to restaurants, it's gonna be free, this, that. I was like, guys, nothing is gonna change. I go, even if you win, it's probably not. I was like, but you're not gonna be a fucking star. I hate to break it to you all. Like, I'm not trying to be a downer, but it's just not gonna happen. But like, they believe that and quit their jobs, leave their families. A lot of people ended up getting divorces because they were gone for so long that like, they ended up cheating, and it was just like crazy shit. Like, it's just bad when you're sequestered from your family for 5 weeks and you can't talk to your wife. And like, they haven't been married that long. Obviously, like we've been, with partners for a long time. But like they've been, they're young, or their girlfriend of 2 years or 1 year.
So was there some hooking up behind the scenes?
There was a lot.
Okay.
It
makes sense to me. But
because we're all in a sequester in a hotel, and you're supposed to be in your room, but we found it was like a college dorm. Everybody's putting like a sock in so the door doesn't close, because we didn't get our room key. The producers kept the room keys, and if you needed to leave the room, you have to call a number. Like, hey, I'd like to go down to the gym, and they see if they have an escort, because they didn't want you leaving, because Fox didn't want you going out and getting like drunk and not showing up the next day or getting a DUI. So people would put socks in their door, or something to like keep it from latching, and like hang out. So everybody's just hanging out, and we got Target runs like every few days. So everybody's just buying alcohol. So everybody's just sitting in their rooms, pounding like drinks all night, hanging out, and people are young and alone and hooking up.
Young, dumb, and full of cum.
Yeah, people are hooking up, and and most of them had significant others, and it was kind of like cruel to kind of fucked up what's happening. Like this environment, when you're put in this intense situation, emotions are high. You don't know who's going to get eliminated tomorrow, what's going to happen. You can't talk to your family. You're stressed. You're drinking. You find comfort in that other chick who was in the same situation. So there was a lot of weird shit happening.
All right. Well, this is a gambling podcast. Let's bring it back to gambling.
Sorry.
There's so many more. We'll talk after the show about who you hooked up with.
No, I was not.
Four, six, five,
Not for me. Not for me.
Well, yeah, an iPad. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I was staying in my room.
Speaking of socks.
I was good.
All right. Well, I'm sure all these years gambling, you must have some great gambling stories, and I know we're running long on time, but let's hit us with one that moved the needle for you, that you like to tell if somebody asks you some kind of. I know you're not a degenerate gambler, but poker stories. I listen.
Look, I have a very degenerate one. I've told it on Joey Ingram's podcast, but it was a few years ago. It was like a 4-hour podcast too, so I'm sure people probably missed it. And if you've heard it before, it's still always a good tale. So what year was this? Maybe I know, because I was with, I know. It was like 2008, and I'm in the Bellagio one weekend, and it was like a Friday night, and I bet, or it was a Saturday, or UFC was on Saturday, so it was a Saturday night. I make a UFC bet that I don't normally bet. I bet $5K and win a UFC bet for $5K. Okay, so I got $5K in my pocket, and I go sit in like a mixed game, and I run the $5K up to like $15K. And there was a big PLO game in Bobby's room. And it was like, I'm trying to think who all was in there. Brian, what's that kid Brian he's SB Rugby?
Brian Townsend.
Townsend, Bobby Baldwin, Sammy Farha. It was a big ass PLO game going on, right? And Keto was in the game, my friend from Dallas who I knew growing up.
Great action.
And it was a big ass game. And I wanted to play, and I remember this guy named Art from New York. He hung out with the Todds, Eugene and Alex Todd. Artie, little
Yeah,
he actually got like a case and had to go to jail or something for some shit with like those guys.
I can picture him, but I don't know.
Little Artie.
Yeah.
Artie was a friend, and Artie's like, let's go halvesies, kid. Go play that PLO game. It was 500, 1,000. I think it was actually playing a little smaller at the time in the session. So I go into the PLO game, and I run we both put 15 up, 30. I run the 30 into like 50K profit, 80K. He's like, all right, let's chop out. So I get up, chop out. So now I got 25K, right? And I play some other games, and that game is still going, and I get back on the list, and I get to come back in. And because I came back around the list, I don't have to I can buy in for whatever. And I remember I bought in, and about 20 hours later,
Okay.
I've got about
Yada, yada, yada.
750, 800,000 in front of me.
Jesus.
Sammy, the game is now playing 501K with a straddle. Farha keeps going broke. He will reach in his pocket, pull out a little pouch, pull out 25Ks, throw 4 on the table. It'll be all in within 2 hands. Because Townsend will pot, Baldwin will pot, Bobby Baldwin, he pots, they get it all in. Sammy will get up, I'll be right back, go to his room, come back, reach in his pocket, pull out, I'm like, is he printing these motherfuckers? Like, what is going on? Where is he getting these?
Got a kiln up there.
What is happening, right? And the game was so insane. And Sammy was on my left. So I'm fucking smashing this game. I mean, Rafi Amit comes in. This guy, he was in the game. He was smashing. Remember that guy? He was a killer.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Johnny Chan comes in. He's crushing. He ends up leaving. So Nanad Medic calls me at like 5 in the morning. And now my phone was dead, and they had that house phone back on the little, under the picture.
Yeah.
And they're like, Williams, got a phone call. And Nad's like, yo, you still in the big, because he's one of my best friends, and he knew I was in the big, you still in that game? I'm like, yeah. He goes, tell me, well, good news, kid, it sounds good. No, first he thinks it's bad because I'm still there. He goes, fuck, how's it going? I go, it's going. He could hear it. He goes, tell me. I go, I'm up 980. I got 980 in front of me. He goes, are you fucking serious? I was like, I'm like whispering because the table's right there. I'm like, yeah, I got fucking 980. He's like, Rhino kid now, let's go. Let's go to the Rhino. And I'm like, let me get the mill. Let me get the 7 figures. He's like, no, fuck that. Let's go right now, bro. Cash out. I was like, nah, I'm gonna get a mill real quick. Sammy's fucking giving it away. I'm gonna get up a mill and I'll just get $1 million and we'll be out of here. He's like, all right. Meet me at the Rhino, quick, call me back.
Oh, no.
You know what's going on here.
Oh, no.
You know what's going on here.
Oh, no.
Oh, we didn't know.
Oh, no, I was so happy till right now.
About an hour later, I got like 700 in front of me, right? I'm like, oh, fuck.
That's a lot of money.
Let me just get back to 800.
The Rhino won't know the difference.
Let me just get back to 800. I'll just be right there, 30 minutes later, I'll take a big bad beat against Sammy or someone else, Keto. 600, oh fuck, 600's good. I'm at like 589, let me just get to 600, I'll leave. Round numbers, fucking round numbers, man. It's the worst fucking thing I tell, but fuck these round numbers. 33 hours into the session, I am now, Keto, I need some chips.
No.
Keto fucking, because Keto's crushing. Keto throws me 50. Keto throws me 100. And the NAD calls, what's going on, kid? I'm like, it's bad, bro. It's fucking bad. Finally, Johnny Chan shows back up. Guy fucking hit us, shows up, fresh as a daisy. Yeah. It's like, it's like the next morning, the game's been going around the clock. Everybody's like zombies, Johnny shows up, fucking newspaper and a coffee, sits in with 20,000 or 25,000, runs it up to another 400K, leaves again. Fucking Johnny, and I end up, Keto's like, 250's the max. Keto's like, sorry, kid. I'm looking around, Sammy leaves. There's really no one there. I go back home. I don't call anybody. I sleep for days. I went from plus 980 to minus 250, all because I wanted this mythical round number.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, 5K to not quite $1 million.
Yep.
To negative $250,000.
Yep.
Wow.
It was brutal. It was a brutal like weekend, you know. It was like from like a fucking Saturday to like a Wednesday, Tuesday or whatever. Because the game went for like fucking 40 hours or whatever.
40 hours and you have to sleep for 48 hours.
Yeah, I woke up to like 700 text and mixed calls, all the people who knew either I was in the game and was hoping how I did, or people, my friends who heard, or fucking wow.
And any gamblers, poker players out there know that like that moment from 980 to 600 is like, it's exponentially worse as you like. It's like way worse. Even if you would have finished up like 250, you would have felt just as bad. Like I know you end up like losing a big number, but
if I left out of there with that 600, I would have been tilted for a week.
Yeah, if he like breaks even or just loses 50K, it's not that bad. But if you lose like 100K, that's like fuck. I just lost 100,000. I gotta get this money back.
I turned it into the biggest loss I'd ever had, which is funny because like if I had sat down and went broke with the 30 or 15, I would have been like, all right, good to see you guys.
Lost my 5K.
I would have left.
And there's no way you get to 250 any other way other than the way you got to 250.
Yeah. There's no way.
There's literally no other opportunities to get to negative 250.
No.
Outside of almost winning $1 million.
No.
Who knows that like going to a strip club at 5 a.m. was the best opportunity of your
best
entire
decision of my life if I'd gone to
I've heard good things about the pancakes there.
I mean,
is that her name now?
Just a quick break here, guys. Are you tired of playing with players like this? Not this.
No.
Like this? Or this?
Or do you want to play with players like this?
Oh, wait. If you like having fun at the poker table, Table 1 is the game for you. We play high stakes, no limit, 100 blinds. And if you want to get into the game, it's actually super easy. We have a website, table1.vegas. You just go to the website, you click get a seat in the game, and fill out the form. It's that easy. It's your name, it's your phone number, it's the date that you're here, and I will personally reach out to you.
And it's only 5K minimum buy-in. You know, run it up at 2.5 and join us.
That was so that's the biggest. That's like the biggest degen thing. I mean,
no, that fucking qualifies. That's fucking insane.
Some would say my biggest sports bet ever is degenerate, but I actually don't think it's degenerate. I think it's just the sharpest thing I've ever done. I put $1 million on Floyd Mayweather to beat Conor McGregor, which I think is when I told everyone I know, get every liquid dollar you can, fucking mortgage your house, fucking take a life insurance policy out on your children, do whatever you fucking can. This is the freest money in the world.
I remember that fight. I didn't have $1 million on it, but I had
the line was huge though, right?
It was
400 or 500?
It was
600.
No, it was. I got it at minus. I had to lay $1 million to win 250.
Okay.
So I got minus 400. Yeah. It was like -5. It started to come down, which is really creepy as it got closer to the fight.
Because people thought the fix was going to be in.
People thought the fix was. So I know Floyd personally. I mean, we haven't kept in contact recently, but I was friends with Floyd because me and Ivy and Floyd, when I first was out here, we hung out a lot, the three of us. And like I talked to Floyd a lot, like to the point where like he would see my baby mama, she worked at Excess, he would see her, how's Liliana, how's David, tell him hi. Like Floyd was a friend back then. And knowing Floyd, there is no way at 49-0, which is what he was or whatever, that he would tarnish his record losing to that fucking guy. Like people thought the fix was in, but I'm like, there is no amount of money you could play Floyd to fuck ego. I go, he might take the money and say it's going to be a fix and then just beat that guy's ass and say sorry. But Floyd is not taking a dive. And like so many people were worried about that. And I think I just said, that's never happening. And I was like, I told everyone I know, take every fucking dollar you can find, scrape every nickel together. And I took every liquid dollar I could get together, which was $1 million, and I put it all on Floyd. If he lost somehow, I would have no money at the time. I would be broke. And I was like, don't care. This is the sharpest thing in the world. And I had this friend, he's actually played on high stakes poker, Robert Sanchez.
I know that.
Heavy set white guy from Texas, billionaire, white hair.
I think I can play him, but I don't know
stocky.
him, surely, yeah.
He was a friend of mine, still is. I haven't talked to him in a while. Very intelligent, sharp, wealthy guy. And he was coming for the fight. And he's like, hey, I'm coming out there for the fight. You know, you want to hang out? And I was like, oh, I got $1 million on Floyd. He's like, what? I was like, oh, Dad, he was so mad at me. He was like, I don't even have $1 million on this flight, and I'm worth whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing, you idiot? You can't handle a bet that large. Why are you doing this? And I was like, Robert, it's the safest thing in the world. I promise you. He's like,
I consulted my friend Kelly Criterion. He told me, bet it all.
look, if you know something's 100%, but he's like, why? He goes like, well, I'm going to the fight, and I was taking a couple friends of mine. I was going to see if they wanted to go. I got third row tickets, which to that fight.
How could you afford it with $1 million? I mean, geez.
Third row ticket is insane. He was going, he had third row tickets, and he was like, I'm taking you, because if you have that much on it, you deserve to be right up front.
Oh, you didn't already have to. Oh,
I was wanting to watch it at home.
Your buddy.
Or I was going to try to get a ticket have JRB, hoping your host would get me a fucking ticket in the risers or whatever. No, Robert was going, and there's a billionaire guy sitting third row at that fight. He was like, I'm going sitting third row. He's like, you're coming with me. And he took me, and I have a picture on my Instagram if you scroll back. I got like a fucking suit on, the shades, I was ready to go. But I remember, if you remember that fight, it was kind of rocky looking at the beginning.
I remember I was at my wife's a teacher, and like all her teacher friends invited us to their house. He had like a theater some guy did, and we were in there watching, and like I was the only person with money on Floyd, and then I had like a lot of money, not a lot, but like, 10, 15K on Floyd. And every single person in there has like $50 on Mayweather, or not Mayweather, on McGregor. Yeah. And I'm just like the only person that's like nervous during the first round because I don't watch a lot of boxing anyway.
That's the thing. If you don't watch boxing, you could be worried about Floyd in those first few rounds.
He came out swinging.
You could be worried about Floyd. But here's the thing also. I had been to, at that point, 100% of Floyd's fight in Vegas since I moved here in 2004. Because Ivy and me would always go. And we would go every time. We never missed a Floyd fight. And all his fights would go like that. Like the opponent comes out fast, his cardio is just so insane, his defense is insane, and then they get gassed, and by the end they look like shit, and he just jabs them to death, and then they just fall over, and he just didn't break a sweat. The guy's like, thanks.
The most boring boxer of all time. Yeah.
And probably one of the best.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I remember the first few rounds, Robert's looking at me. He's like, you good? You okay? And I'm like,
no, there's a plan. We got
I'm
this.
like, bro, it's fine. He's like, you sure? I'm like, it's fine. And then as Floyd started to take over in the later rounds, like 6, 7 or whatever, and then he finally won, I remember it felt good, but it didn't feel like I expected. Like, it didn't feel like confetti from the rafters. Like, it was just like, oh, cool.
I was supposed to win. I knew I was going to win,
risked
and I did.
a lot of all my liquid money to get not that much more.
But you even think then, though, like, I would have that sigh of relief. Like, I didn't lose all my net worth.
Yeah.
But it's because it was such a given. It was just like, yeah, cool. I get to pick up this free 250, and I wish I had more money. I wish I could have somehow got 8 million or something. I was like, how could I wish I could have found a way to get more
Some
money.
bad beat the other way. You're like, I should have borrowed.
Yeah, I
should have gone to every bank.
Found a way to get a loan. Like, what the fuck?
That's the thing about sports betting, man. If you lose, you bet too much, and if you win, you didn't bet enough.
Yeah.
There's no real winning.
I went back to the room, and I thought we were going to go out that night, and I was like, we went to dinner at MGM. We went and ate at like the Morimoto, and then he was like, all right, let's go to the club. I was like, I'm gonna go change, and I'll meet you out. I remember I went back to my room. I had a room at MGM. Like, he got me a suite, or like some villa, actually. I went in there, and I just was like, laying in the bed thinking, and just woke up the next thing, it's like 6 in the morning, and I'm like still in my suit jacket. I'm like, fuck, I was tired. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll check out, and that's
like
that.
my tickets.
And I'm like, this is weird. No, I bet it on some online sites because you get to bet with crypto, which was great. That's how it's easy to get down that much, and you get the best price. And like the money just was there because it was like instant settle. It was like a crypto account, like crypto book, and the money was just there. And I was like, cool. And then that money also was Bitcoin. So now it's
yeah, right. You're making money every.
Yeah, there you go. You didn't win 250. You won a lot more than that. Fuck yeah. Shit.
So those are kind of some degen things, but like I don't sports bet, I don't play in the pit. I mean, it's funny I say I don't sports bet, but my main sources of income is with a sports syndicate, but that's so different and not.
It's like a fund, right? You're like in a hedge fund.
Exactly. I try to tell people that because they're always like, oh, what should we bet on? Like my normal
I think a lot of people don't get that that's the thing. I actually ran for 2 years. I did an NFL fund where I took people's money and I bet NFL. And the first year we won a lot, and the second year we lost like back what we won, and then I just shut it down. I was like, oh, it's just not really.
Well, that's the thing. People ask me how to. I'm like, we don't even take money because our issue is not capital. We have enough capital. It's getting down. Like, if you can help us get down, then you can have a piece. If you can't help us get down, we don't need your money. My friend's like, oh, can we give you money to invest? I'm like,
That's why guys, like, I don't know if a lot of people out there are familiar with the sports world, but like Spanky and like Joey Tunes and like these guys on Twitter who are popular, they were really smart to build an audience because they do. They have an infinite supply of people that can have William Hill accounts until they get cut off, the partners or whatever. So you can just get down a lot of money at square lines for an infinite period of time.
But there's the added headache too, though. Like, we don't, because like we thought about trying to build me a following to help us do that, but then we realized like you can't really. Can you trust these people? The paying, the collecting, is it truly? So we have a different model of getting down, which works for years. But yeah, I mean, like I know all those guys because we share. Sometimes we share liquidity with each other if we need something. But it's a good business. It's the best business. But it's hard to be on the right side of the business. Like a lot of people think they know what they're doing and don't.
It's the whole point of like that's gambling, right? Yeah. A lot of people, everyone who sits down at a poker table isn't like, oh, I'm here to lose this money. I mean, we're trying to win. Everybody.
A lot of groups out there that don't really win.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like we've covered past David. We've hit the highlights. What's in the works? What's future David?
Besides getting less compact and larger.
Yeah, I mean, I need
larger.
I need to diet. I just got back from 2 weeks in Italy on a Michelin star tour with my girlfriend.
Jeez.
Yeah, and we're going to Japan for the same thing in the beginning of December. So it's like, I don't think that diet's gonna have to wait. Like fuck. That's it. I mean, just the syndicate's going well. Sports as well. I got a lot of fantasy football teams, which is fun.
I love that.
I'm gonna play some PLO here at the Aria this week. Maybe it depends.
You can get there on time before the
discount. I also just like it's like it's a 5K, but it's not a 5K.
No, it's a 15K.
It's a 15K at least, because like my girlfriend doesn't get it. I was like, well, you don't have to rebuy. I'm like, baby, if I showed up and it was a good tournament, it's a better tournament once I've busted because there's more money in the prize pool.
That's right.
I'm like, I didn't go there to tap out and say thanks guys while registration is open. If I bust and reg is open, I'm re-entering. Like that's what's happening. So I got to be prepared for 5-6 bullets maybe. And she's like, well, that's crazy.
And that's the thing, like 5K is the right price point for those tournaments where like, even if you go in there with like, I'm just one bullet and done, it's impossible because like everyone in there is like treating it like a 15, 20K and they're just gambling incredibly hard for the first 6 levels. And it's just like, if either you play tight and you feel like a jerk or like whatever, you take the bad beat or you get it in the cooler, which always happens, and you're like, am I going to leave this fucking
You play
party?
tight, and the next thing you know, you have 20 big blinds and reg closes, or you have like 18 big blinds, and you're like, what the hell happened? You try to play pots, and some guy has the 5-6-9-3, and you're just like, what are you doing? And they're like, who cares? It's re-entry. It's re-entry, bro. I got a pair. And they're just like firing it in. So it's like, that tournament, I like them, but it's like, it's a lot more expensive than it says.
Commitment.
Yeah. So
good luck. I'll take a piece today, by the way.
No,
I don't know if you had a dream or last night.
I don't think I'm going to play today, only because I actually didn't get our accounting done for sports yesterday because I was with my daughter. She was visiting. She moved to Austin with her mom. So I was with my daughter, didn't do the accounting yesterday. Today I would normally be doing it, but I'm here with you boys.
Appreciate
So it's like I got to go home and do the accounting, and then when I finish, registration will be where I'm paying that fee. So I might actually late reg though, because if I late reg, it's one bullet. Like if I come at the end,
truly a 5K,
and it's literally just like a 5K lotto. But like again, I don't have that DGen in me, which a lot of people surprises a lot of people. They think I'm like a sick gambler, but I'm really not. So I'm like, fuck, if I'm gonna just show up max late reg 5K one bullet, that seems kind of spewy. I'm like, maybe I just play tomorrow when it's a 10K. But I might do it just because it's kind of fun. And Noah's here from Europe, and he's playing Boken, and he's having a good time. He was like, oh, it's so great in here. And I'm like, it is great in there. Like, it feels so... I just wish it was like... I wish you could have that atmosphere, but with 300 players and like 90-minute levels. And like have like a real PLO tournament with a lot of people, but in that but then that atmosphere wouldn't happen because you have too many people and you can't give everybody fucking,
You crush the atmosphere if you make it too big.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if he's going to give you this advice for, but I say you go for it and just like raise every pot without looking at your hands. And I'm pretty sure they're going to overfold. You got this.
You got this. All right. Well, I don't know. Anything, I guess.
You want to promote anything?
Yeah, right. You want to tell our viewers where to go to follow you? I mean, you already got a gajillion on Twitter.
My Twitter is stagnant. I was like the first guy of all the poker players on Twitter. I was on Twitter the earliest, and like it wasn't a thing. And I was quickly like first to 10,000, first to like 20, and then I've just been at like 50,000 for like 10 years.
All right, well, guys, get him to 50,000 in
No, I don't really care anymore. I just think about it.
He really wants 55,000, guys. Let's go.
I don't care. That's the thing. I was thinking about it. Nothing really to promote. Like I used to always have stuff to promote. Like even now with Poker Royalty, they call me with opportunities, and I used to take every one for every dollar. And now I'm kind of like, I'm tired. I'll pass. And they're like, really? It's like a lot of good money for like not much. I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather just stay home.
Well, we appreciate you coming out of the woodwork just for us.
I mean, I was like, I want to talk to you guys. It's fun.
No,
this was fun.
Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is that the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Thanks, guys.
Me and my buddy, We making all of this money. Yeah, I know it's rude to be bragging. They never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money. Whoa, you know I've been in my bag. Yeah. Buddy, I got it like that.